Yeah, good day, students. How are you doing? I hope you are doing great. And how has you been faring at home? I hope you guys are enjoying your stay at home. So today we are into a different topic that we discussed but before we go into it, let's refresh our mind on what we discussed last week. Last week we discussed about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. But before we go into the topic, we first of all define what human right is. We say human rights are basic entitlement that an individual as a citizen of society benefits. In other words, we say human rights are this entitlement that a citizen's benefit as a member of a society. Now we now went also will not just give example of these human rights. We said we have right to live, right to life, right to freedom of movement, right to personal liberty, right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. We also said that these human rights are contained in many constitutions of governments in the world. Like in the case of Nigeria, for example, we said these human rights are contained in Nigerian Constitution, Chapter 14. Now, this is a copy of Nigerian Constitution. I believe most of you have seen this before. So this is the Constitution of Nigeria. Now, in Chapter 4 of this Constitution, it deals with what we call human rights. Now, either you say Chapter 4 or from Section 33 to Section 46, deals strictly with what we call human rights. So, after that, we also discussed what Universal Declaration of Human Rights is. We say it's a declaration of the United Nations on certain rights in which citizens of the world are supposed to benefit from. Then we go into the historical background of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. That in the history of the world, there are certain atrocities were committed, especially during the Second World War. People were enslaved. People were maimed, people were killed, over 60 million people were killed, and the leaders of the world resolved never to allow such atrocity to happen in the history of the world again. So they set up a committee under the leadership of Eleanor Roosevelt, and they came out with a document and presented it to the United Nations organization. And on the 10th of October 1948, a declaration on human rights was made. So those are what we discussed last week. And now, today, we are going to see what we call the 7 core freedoms in Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Now, this document, when they were presented to United Nations organization by the committee, they contain 30 articles. Now, these articles, United Nations Development Programs, in its 2000 meeting, summarized this and divided it grouped them into 7. 30 articles on human rights were submitted to United Nations. So now it groups on development program and on the human rights at the same time, subgroup these rights into 7. So these rights serve as a basis for freedom and peaceful existence of mankind, that they can stay and enjoy them as long as they are humans in a society. So this is what we are going to look into today. So first, what are these 7 core freedoms? Now these 7 core freedoms, like I said earlier, they are these articles that were submitted by the United Nations after the reports of the committee that came up with this right. They come up with this right under 30 articles. Now, these 30 articles were referred to a committee of the United Nations, and in its year 2000 meeting, grouped this freedom into 7. And after grouping them into 7, they become the 7 core freedoms. And these rights, they concern individual directly, and it influences the principles of his existence as human beings. and allow him to enjoy his life wherever he found himself. So what are these 7 core freedoms? What are these 7 core freedoms? This is what we are going to discuss today. So now, in our outline, we have to understand what the 7 core freedoms are, to list and explain them, and to also understand the importance of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights on mankind. So have you understand what the 7 core freedom is, what it means, how we come about it? We are going deeply now into them one after the other, starting from number 1 to number 7. So number 1 of the 7 core freedoms. Right to freedom from discrimination, based on sex, ethnicity, religion, and tribe. Now, what this is talking about is that every individual has the right to freedom free from discrimination. That no individual should be discriminated based on his sex or gender, based on ethnicity, based on religion, or based on tribe, or based on nationality. You understand? That on whatever situation, no individual should be discriminated. This right is talking about equality. That all individuals are equal, irrespective of their gender, irrespective of their religion, irrespective of their ethnicity, irrespective of their nationality, irrespective of wherever they come from. There's equality. One cannot be discriminated simply because he's a man in a place where they have majority of women. One cannot be discriminated simply because she is a woman. One should not be discriminated because he is into an environment where a particular ethnic group dominates. One should not be discriminated because he is not a citizen of a particular country. So this right is talking about equality. That is number 1. Then number 2, right to freedom from want. Right to freedom from want. And not only from want, and decent standard of living. All humans should have the rights and freedom to eat whatever they want to eat, to have a decent standard of living, that they are entitled to, at least based on their local recommendation, the required square meals for the day. In the case of Nigeria, 3 square meals for an average Nigerian. You eat in the morning, you eat in the afternoon, and you eat in the evening. In other countries, they have 5 square meals. In some countries, they don't even know what is called square meal. You eat anytime you want to eat, and you eat as much as you want to eat in a day. So we have this right. So your government should create an avenue where food is not your problem. The basic needs of man, food, shelter, and clothing, should not be your problem. So governments of all nations should have provisions where citizens should have a decent standard of living. This is what this right is talking about. Right to freedom from want. So now, number 3. Right to life, personal liberty, and dignity of human person. Dignity of human person. As an individual member of the society, you have the right to live. On no account should another person take your own life. On no account should even the state take your own life, except if it is in accordance with the provision of the Constitution. Maybe you take another person's life and the Constitution stipulates that this is your punishment. Apart from that, no one should deprive you of the right to live. So you have the right to life. You have the right to live too. And you cannot take away another person's life. That is one. Then you have the right to also own property. No one should deny you of the opportunity of owning property. That is your right. And not own a property anywhere you want. Wherever you are. It is your right. Then human dignity. Your dignity of a person should be respected. No one should bring you down to nothing. No one should disrespect you. No one should subject you to some kind of treatment that are inhuman as a person. That's a violation of your rights. No one should force you to do things that are against your wish. This should be enjoyed by citizens of countries wherever they find themselves. Then number 4. Right to freedom of movement. Let me go up. Number 4. Rights to freedom of movements and to choose a residence. Another right I love so much. You as an individual, you have the right to move anywhere you want to. Either within your country or outside the country. No one should restrict you as long as you're on good cause and as long as you subject yourself to the rules and regulations of the country you want to enter. No one should stop you. If you have good record, you are free to visit any country, anytime, anywhere. You have the right to also choose where you want to live, where you want to stay, where you want to do your life. You have that right. So you can move. If today you are tired of living in this particular environment, you have the right to move to another state, to another local government. In fact, if you want to go to another country, to go and reside there and earn a living, you are free to do so. So this is one of the rights in the 7 core freedom of Universal Declaration on Human Rights. Then number 5. Right to freedom from forced labor. Right to freedom from forced labor, slavery-like acts. Now, no one should subject you into forced labor. No one should subject you to do something that is against your interest, your will. No one should force you to do something you don't want to do. Or no one to force you into slavery or slavery-like activity or slavery-like practice or even servitude. Or servitude. So number 6, right to freedom of association and peaceful assembly. Number 6, right to freedom of association and peaceful assembly. You have the right to join any association or to even form a new one. You can join an existing association or form a new one at your own will. No one should force you. If you want to live in an association at the time you want, you are free. If you want to join a new one, you are free. No one should force you to join anyone. And at least one. 2, you can also form an assembly. Any group you feel like joining, you have the right to join. And you also have the right to demonstrate, to fight for your interest, to protect your interest, to join any group, whether trade union, interest group, opinion group, or whatever name you call it, political party, political association, you have the right to do so. No one should force you to leave or to join. Like I said, you can join an existing one or you can form a new one. You can leave anytime you want without anybody forcing you to do so. So it is at your own right. So one of the 7 core values of freedom of Universal Declaration of Human Rights, number 6 is the right to freedom of association and peaceful assembly. And then the last but not the least is right to freedom of thought. Right to freedom of thoughts, conscience, right to freedom of expression is the same thing. Conscience and religion. Yeah, you have the right to express yourself. You have the right to express your mind. You have the right to think of what to do and what not to do. You have the right to reason. And no one should deny you of that right, in as much as you respect other people's rights. This right are mentioned for you to enjoy, or this right exists for you to benefit from. Remember that you are not the only person in the society. Other people as well have their right. Now, especially this particular right, freedom of thought, freedom of expression, thought, conscience, and religion. These rights deal with individual differences because your ideas are different from mine. Your thoughts are different from mine. So as much as you enjoy this freedom to think the way you want, I also have my own right to think the way I want. So I will think as long as I did not encroach on your rights and you do the same thing. Freedom of expression. You have the right to come out and air your view, but don't damage another person's image. Don't assassinate another person's character. You have the right to religion. Like I like saying it, giving an example. You worship anything you want, and you stop worshiping anything you don't like, no longer want to worship. Yes, you can worship cow if you want. You can worship goat if you want. You can worship a tree if you want. You can even worship gurasa You can buy gurasa, keep it at home and worship it. If you are hungry, you could not find any food, and your god gurasa is available, you can eat it anytime you want, then later buy another god. It is your own cup of tea. It's nobody's business. So these are the 7 core freedom in Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And this right serve as the basis of fundamental human rights introduced in many constitutions of many countries. Like I said earlier, in Nigerian Constitution, you can find this right in Chapter 4 of the Constitution, or in Section 33 to 46 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Now, having understand this right, of what importance is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights to humanity? So let's look into the importance of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Importance of UDHR. 1. It brings about social justice. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights brings about social justice. Now, with the existence of this right, individuals' rights are protected, and nobody's right can arbitrarily be abused. People value their rights and they know the importance of this right, so they cannot violate another person's right. And even if this right, your own right, is violated, you can seek for redress. You can seek for justice. There are organizations that are set for you to fight for your rights. We have the Court of Law. We have the Public Complaint Commission. They are there to protect your right. So people, even if they don't want to value your own rights, but they want their own freedom. So because of the desire for their right, they value their own right, and this creates or brings about social justice in the society. It also makes people to live in any part of the country of the world. It makes people to live anywhere they want. Now, one benefit of this, because of the right to freedom of movement and choosing the residence, it gives people the opportunity to live anywhere they want. So this is a good thumb up to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So it's a good importance. And humanities are enjoying this right, because let's take example, myself, I'm not a citizen of Kano State, but here I am living in Kano peacefully because of this right. If there is no this right, I would have been down in Benue State, my state. And there are people of Kano origin that are living in Benue State as well, and other parts of the country, and even other parts of the world. So that is just it. You see a Lebanese, a Chinese man living here in Nigeria, a Nigerian living in China or Lebanon, India. So as a result of this right, citizens have the right to live anywhere they want. Then it's the third one. It unites the human race. The human race. Universal Declaration of Human Rights, as one of the importance, it unites the human race. It brings people together. It brings people with one mind, one thought, one ideology, freedom. People have the same desire. And so I respect, because of this freedom, I know that you are entitled to certain rights in your life. I respect them, you respect mine, we live in peace. This creates unity, this brings unity. So, if not for Universal Declaration of Human Rights, all these things wouldn't be there. And then another importance, that it enables individuals to develop, to discover their real humanity, their real cause of existence. Individuals to actualize their humanity. Now, what it is trying to say is that we as human, with this right, with this declaration, we now understand how human we are. Why are we human? Our importance in life. That is, our full humanity manifest. Our real, that we are vicegerents on earth. That we are created equal for a purpose. And that purpose has to be actualized. So it enables us as individuals to actualize and to know our full humanity. Now, it also provides a universal standard to measuring the activities of governments of different countries in the world. It provides a standard of measuring the activities of various governments. Now, there are states, there are countries, you can hail them for respect to human rights. There are countries you condemn them because they violate human rights. So, Universal Declaration of Human Rights creates an avenue to measure the standards to which states violate human rights or respect these rights. In fact, there are international organizations, non-governmental organizations, that their own is to watch and see how do you respect human rights in your country. And year in and year out, they come out with reports and place countries according to how they respect or disrespect human rights. So the Universal Declaration of Human Rights set a space in which we measure how governments respect human rights in their society. And the last but not the least is it serves as a source of law. It serves as a guide or a norm for forming laws that deal with human rights. That is, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that document guides many countries on how they should make laws that has to do with protecting the human right. So this is where we will stop. This is the end of the lesson. But before I go, let me still refresh our mind on what we discussed. First, we discussed the 7 core freedom in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We say that this 7 core freedom of Universal Declaration of Human Rights, they are the 30 articles submitted by a committee set up by United Nations Organization, and then this UNO now refer these 30 articles to a subcommittee, which this committee in turn group these 30 articles into 7 core freedom, and this 7 core freedom now serve as a guiding principle for humans to enjoy their life, to enjoy freedom and live peacefully in the society. And we mention these freedoms in the following way. We say, one, the 7 core freedom. The first one is freedom from right to freedom from discrimination based on gender, religion, ethnicity, nationality. We also say the second one we say right to freedom from want and decent standard of living. So just let me to mention few, and then we'll discuss some of the importance of Universal Declaration of Human Rights.